How's everybody doing? All right. What do you guys got?
6 days, short week like this, you have to, obviously things are condensed, but you have to prioritize different things, or what are the challenges of that?
Well, the challenge is just a quick turnaround. Like, as of now, we're on a normal schedule, coaching-wise, game planning and those type of things. Obviously, we've got to be smart with the guys in terms of not wearing those guys out. We've practiced a long time so far this year, and so, you know, hopefully we're doing that. But it's also a unique offense that we're going to face. And you know, how about that? It's a unique offense. It's like what everybody ran 5 years ago or whatever it is, but it's different. And so you got to practice. You got to practice hard and all those type of things. But that's one of the big challenges this week.
As far as their offense, of course, everybody talks about Bryce Love, and he's a guy that's getting, I think, close to like 9 yards a carry. What is it that kind of stands out about him, as well as just the scheme they run, especially with those offensive linemen?
Yeah, he's just, you know, he's one of those guys really fast, strong, keeps his legs going at all times, and he's hard to tackle. Bounces off, runs through arm tackles, really powerful. And, you know, obviously he's got really good vision, the way they put all those big offensive linemen, and you're not sure where the crease is going to be, and he always finds it.
Are we on Stanford now? No Oregon chatter?
What you got? Sure.
Dante's punt return, just talk about kind of what you saw from your perspective.
It's kind of the same thing every time. Yeah, every time that he seems to do that, gets a chance to, you know, with a little bit of space, made a guy miss right away to get it started. And, you know, I think there was about 3 guys that he kind of had to do something with himself, but there was enough space for him to do that. And, yeah, he's just got such a unique knack for returning. If you give the guy space, he's got that vision that we just talked about, and he's got those long legs. He's kind of like a hurdler out there. You know, guys are going to have a really hard time tackling him unless there's a bunch of guys there.
You know if he kept the ball from that return?
I don't know if he kept that ball or not. We'll get him one, though, for sure, at the end of the year. Make sure it's all pretty.
The screenplay to Levon, he was literally sitting on an Oregon defender, spun around, and was able to find the end zone. Talk about it.
Yeah, I didn't see it till I saw it on tape. I mean, I figured he had done that because I saw the guy tackle him, and I looked over. I immediately was looking over to see if he got the first down, and then I heard the crowd, you know, erupt, and figured he did one of those loop-de-loops where he sits on the guy and gets up and runs. And you know, Levon's a hard charging guy. I mean, that's kind of his style.
What's the process that you guys go through as a staff when you talk to the refs after and you have a review? And because I know Jake Browning talked about the hit that he had on the first pass to Aaron Fuller that got called back. Is there any mechanism that you guys have to go back on anything like that?
We don't talk to him. I mean, what's the point? You know, I mean, they watch the tape and, you know, we just move on, and hopefully.
With the targeting, like if someone could miss a half,
yeah,
retroactive.
Yeah, I mean that's on the league office to figure all that stuff out. So I don't know.
When you look back at the film, I mean, what was kind of your assessment of the tight ends and how they filled in for how those new guys, how they filled in for Hunter?
Well, those guys that are filling in are not good new guys. Hunter's the new guy. Those are old guys.
Old guys filling in.
So, yeah, they play well. We like our tight ends. Those guys, you know, do a good job. They're tough guys, and you know, we've kind of mixed Hunter into the mix with those guys, and he's kind of a unique player. And so we do different things with him. And so, you know, we just next guy up, and it doesn't mean that maybe some of those balls are going to go to a running back or a wide receiver, or they might still go to the tight ends, they hope.
What did you make of your run defense overall, just considering how much they ran the ball?
Yeah. Well, I thought it was good because at the end of the day, it's about points. And guys can go up and down the field all they want, but if they're not getting points, that's what matters. And, you know, Oregon does a good job of running the football. I mean, that's what they do. They are very good at that, and they got good players to go along with it. And, you know, really after our guys kind of settled down on that first drive, I thought they played really, really well. There's no way a team like that's not going to get some yards. and but to hold them to 3 points is, pretty impressive by those guys.
Piggybacking off that a little bit, we know how you feel about the stats, but you guys are officially #1 in the country defensively, yards allowed. This isn't a one-year anomaly either. It's been a pretty good run here the last few years. Just in general, what do you appreciate about what those guys are doing on defense?
Well, I think our coaches do a great job, first and foremost. I mean, there's enough variety there. There's enough subtlety there, maybe from just watching and stuff, from the stands. You wouldn't think there's a lot, but there is a lot. But it's not, our guys usually know what they're doing, and they can play really fast. We've done a good job recruiting over there, and those kids, have a good mojo, and they play good. And I think that's one of the things that, if you're going to have a really good team, to me, it's always going to start on defense. And we've had good defenses for a long, long time. Everybody likes to talk about offense or complain about offense or brag about offense, but I think it always starts on defense.
Chris, how important is communication in the team defense from the line, the linebackers, and the back? And how do you teach that in practice? Because obviously something you guys are committed to, that they communicate on.
Yeah, I mean, it's team defense. I mean, everybody has their job, and when you have somebody not getting out of position, then the next guys don't have to overcompensate to try to do somebody else's job, and that's when you get in trouble. And I think they know where they're supposed to fit on run plays, on wide run plays, on screen pass play. They know where when they have to run and get there, they know where they're supposed to be, and they know where their help's coming from, and they practice that every single day, and they do a good job of doing their job, and that really helps.
You saw very good defense in the Peach Bowl last year. How much of what you saw there was either it was aspirational for what you guys wanted to firm up on your defense, or was it just?
Yeah, I don't think of that at all. I just think those are some of the best players that I've seen. I mean, they obviously coach them good, but those are just, talent-wise was something we hadn't seen. I hadn't seen them probably ever. So, yeah.
You said last week that you thought if you had to go to the air, you could do it. And
yeah.
This week, a couple long ones.
Yeah.
So were you?
Well, you act like we don't throw the ball anymore. You think we're an option team?
What about Jake's game overall?
Yeah, he was efficient. It was good. Those explosive plays. I mean, really, however you're going to get them. If you're going to get them through the run game, some teams really get more through the run or through the pass, but you got to have some explosive plays, and when you don't, it's painful on offense and really good on defense. And that's what I thought was really good about our defense, is there really wasn't a bunch of explosive plays. I mean, Oregon held the ball and was kind of driving on us, which is fine, because it's really hard to do that over and over and over, just to drive the ball for a bunch of plays and then score points. I mean, consistently and consecutively. And so if you can eliminate explosives and create them, you're helping yourself tremendously.
The throw to Dante in the corner, so to your right, in the southwest corner, where he had it open for a second in the end zone.
Yeah.
Is that a throw that you want there earlier? Or
yeah, a little bit. He probably put a little too much air in. I think Dante's got to go up and get that ball. I mean, the timing's just a fraction off, and that's how it goes sometimes. So yeah, we could have had another one.
Chris, have you noticed when you break down the explosives and when you kind of do a study of that, is that one of those things where you've noticed they come in bunches, like instead of just one here?
Yeah.
You had 5 on Saturday. I obviously have to go back and look.
Yeah.
You had that many.
Yeah, you talking about the pass game, and we had a few explosive runs too. So they kind of do. Yeah, I think it has to do with some things with momentum and guys getting confidence, and yeah, I don't know why it is. Like, I think either side gets more confident. If they're not getting them, you start to play with more confidence, more swag on whatever side. If you get them, you keep taking chances, and it does seem to build a little bit. I don't know why that is.
Kind of a quick question about Stanford. I mean, everybody talks about Bryce Love, but of course there's Justin Reed, there's safety. What for you kind of stands about what he does? Because it seems like he's either everywhere on the field or he's in passing lanes. I mean, is that kind of more his game, or is there something else that you see that others don't?
Yeah, he's a good player. That is what we see. I mean, he can cover. He's a safety, and so a lot of times you don't say that about a safety, but he comes down and can play in the slot, and he covers those guys. He's got very good ball skills. I think he leads
interceptions.
Yeah, I think he leads our conference in interceptions, and so And a couple of those were not easy interceptions. I mean, he had to go get those, and he's a good football player.
Was he a guy that you had all looked at in recruiting, or did you?
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah.
Chris, is having a short week, is that easier as the season goes on? Because a lot of teams will cut back on reps in practice. Does that make having a short turnaround any easier?
Where this falls?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't really thought about it that way. You know, last year we had it early in the season. It's really about getting this early part of the plan done. You know, you want your week to be as normal as you possibly can, and so we really make it that way for the players. We just move everything up, but for the coaches, getting that first day and you know losing a whole day of kind of planning. So you come in real early the next morning, and that other game needs to already be kind of put to rest in your mind, and away you go.
You have a late Saturday game. Does that make the turnaround even more difficult from a game planning standpoint?
Yeah, for sure. I think last year, we came back really late, and so we had kind of the same, it ended up being the same thing. You know, we all want to feel sorry for ourselves and can't believe we're having to do this, but then I look at the Seahawks and the Falcons, and I'm fine. Those guys have it really tough, and, you know, we told our players that too, so.
Kind of get game plan done Sunday night then, or Monday morning?
No, and that's probably one thing that's hard to do when you're later in this, you know, this late in the season, is to go, you know, do some game planning early. When you're early in the season, in the summertime, you can kind of look at those first 3 games to get ideas and all that, but things change so much during this season. But we're fine. I mean, both sides will be fine. I mean, there's enough time, and, you know, both sides will put together good plans.
Does that help, though, that Stanford is such kind of a unique offense, but it's something that they do that everyone kind of understands it, and
yeah.
I know they'll have the wrinkles, obviously, but
I would like to play something we've seen a whole bunch of. I mean, that's where you get those carryover reps, and there's a lot of stuff that we haven't seen anything like that. So we got to be able to get lined up correctly and be able to play a fullback. We explained what a fullback is to our defense today, and they were very intrigued. So,
rushed for almost 600 yards in the last 2 games. Is that mostly a function of your offense, or is there something going on with Pac-12 defenses?
I would like to think it's more of a function of our offense. You know, we believe strongly in running the ball, and we don't feel good when we can't run the ball. I don't think anyone, you know, there's a handful of teams that might feel fine not running the ball, but I know Stanford's not going to feel good if they don't run the ball. I know Oregon's not going to feel good if they run the ball. We're not going to feel good if we can't run the ball. Our styles are much different, but you know, most guys really want to run the ball, and we're no different than that. So if we can, you know, we're going to, and sometimes you got to be stubborn and stay with it.
Chris, we've talked about Azim before, about just how hard Ben Burke-Kirven's made to get him. Is there a part of you that wants to try and get him on the field somewhere else? Or?
Yes, we do. We for sure do, and we're working hard to try to see if we can get him some more reps out there and use his athleticism and his football skills. Yeah.
How hard is it for a linebacker to just transition to rush end?
You know, it's amazing. Everything is so much more complicated than you think. You can't just line a guy up. I mean, we're talking about this in some special team things that we were moving some guys around, and it's like you think there's just, in special teams, there's a few, you know, minimal assignment things and a few technique things, and it's amazing how much that takes to get a guy when you're moving him around with these things when they haven't done it for a long time. And certainly on offense or defense at a different position, there's just so much more there. And so he's been making some progress at that stuff, and we do want to, and our hope is to get him more reps out there for sure.
Has this, you think, been frustrating for him?
Absolutely.
How's he handling it?
Good. He's been good, because I know he is frustrated, and you know, we respect that guy tremendously, how he's gone about his business, and he comes to practice and works hard, and we hope we can get him out there more.
Stanford's a team that likes to get the ball into their tight ends, and then on the outside they've got a couple of receivers that are really built like tight ends. How is this going to be a special challenge for your secondary? Yeah,
I think you're right. This tight end is very good. he's unique. He's a special tight end. He's so tall and he can run, so he's a really good pass receiver. But where I always grabs my attention when tight ends can block really well, and he does that. He does a very nice job in the run game. So this is a complete tight end. That's a huge target. And then the receivers are big guys too. They're 6'2", 6'3", and catch the ball really, really well. And so they can throw it. And they will throw it. I know they want to throw it more than they threw it last weekend. But they're all about establishing the run game, and then that comes off it.
You have a team like Stanford that has that much size catching the ball. What's the challenges for corners like Miles and Austin, or do we make too much of height, or is there something to make it back?
Yeah, it is what it is, and I think if guys aren't, that's an advantage. That's why you look at NFL and those receivers, you get those guys a lot of those guys are 6'2", 6'3", and there's not much you can do when they're just bodying you out, even if you're playing your techniques just right. So, it is what it is, and those guys got to be one step ahead, and they got to really, be explosive players and aggressive players when that ball's in the air.
Chris, with Aaron's Day on Saturday, is this one of those situations where now building skill, you're starting to see one or two of those guys emerge?
Yeah, I'd hope so. Like I said after the game, I've kind of noticed him in practice. I think he's doing a nice job of practicing hard and making plays out there. I think there's a couple other guys. I think Ty Jones is the same way, and you just kind of really want to see, those guys get opportunities, and then it shows up, and there's that momentum we talk about, that whether the quarterback's looking his way a little bit more or coaches are designing things, it kind of snowballs. And so hopefully, not only Aaron, but a couple of those other guys, start to increase as well, their role.
With Pounds out now, you've got that's 3 receivers that you're down. Has that changed much in play calling, given you have to bring up an inexperienced guy?
Not a huge amount. There's always certain guys that did things really well and have a uniqueness to them, certainly like, Hunter did, where we'd use him. But we've been practicing a lot. All those other receivers have a lot of reps under their belt, and they're getting more now. So it's again not like just all of a sudden pulling a guy out of redshirting and go, okay, here we go. It's kind of how the season goes. It's kind of how we plan for it, and hopefully they can capitalize.
This has been one of the more challenging years you've had in terms of just when guys go down trying to figure out things and move it around, or is that one of those things where, because it's football, you just kind of have to get used to it from season to season?
Well, I would think the latter. What else are you going to do? You plan going in. I sat back here way back when in August and said, things can look really good, 22 players on both sides. That's not even kind of your team. You need to have about 50 players on that sheet that you're going, I feel good about these 50 plus players, because that's what you get down to, and that's where we are.
Coach, I know it's always about the next game. You probably wouldn't want your players doing this, but I'm curious, do you ever find yourself score watching after you guys are done? Oh, Penn State lost, Ohio State lost, that's 2 losses for them. Do you find yourself doing that?
What do you mean after the game?
Yeah, just, look after you guys are done, just looking around the rest of the country and seeing how.
Are you talking about for rankings? Is that your way of asking that question? I don't even know how to say this to you again. I totally do that, score watch, but nothing because, oh, good, so-and-so lost. I can't say that honest to you enough. Maybe our players do. I don't know. I really don't. But not even kind of, but I watch scores all the time thinking, wow, I thought that would be a good game, or those guys upset them. I pay attention to all that. But I can't say it any more honestly thinking, oh, that's good for us. We just got to play good. We have to just go win the next game. And I know our coaches feel like you can just tell and feel those type of things. The players, I would think they would, but I don't know.
For a story on Greg Gaines, I'm wondering, how did you go about first recruiting him back in the day, and also what does he mean to the team now?
Yeah, he's one of the guys I chuckle about in recruiting, because I don't think anyone really talked about him very much. And again, he was one of those guys who committed to us before we came here, and we knew he was going to be a really good player. and you know, and then typical in recruiting, you know, towards the end, and everybody's trying to recruit him, but he stuck to his commitment, and that's just what he was going to do. And so he, you know, he comes in with not a tremendous amount of fanfare, because that's not what he's about. And you know, he's done everything that we thought he would do. He's the type of player we thought he'd be. We thought he would be one of the better players in the Pac-12, and you know, be a difference maker. And so he's kind of done what we thought he would do.
Also, that he's married now. Back in your day, were there more players who were married, or was it not that many? Or
no, it's kind of about the same. There might be one or two when they get a little bit older. And I like it. I'm good with it. You know, it's like, yeah, go hang out with your wife, and then we know they're probably in better hands than if they don't have a wife. And, you know, with girlfriends, there's all kinds of drama, so that's a little bit shaky. The newlyweds, it's all good and for a couple years, and so that seems to work better, so I'm good with that.
Speaking of recruiting, have you started to notice, when now you're getting closer to that December initial signing period, have you started to see any effects from that and how the process is going?
Not really. You know, the guys that we have committed and the guys that we're on, you know, planning on most of those guys. There might be a unique reason or two for one or two of them to not sign early. Most of those guys are all ready to go. But, you know, again, I think there's a few things that I think in my mind may happen that I don't really want to get into, but I think it's a little bit of Pandora's box, you know, right now. We'll see how this pans out.
Kind of staying along those lines, I mean, with a short week, how does that affect you and your staff in terms of trying to recruit and evaluate and look at guys on Friday, or is there a way to make it work while you're still playing, or how does the dynamic work?
Well, we're done with our evaluation days anyways. You only get so many in the fall, so we can't go out anymore. We've already used them, so that's been planned. Like I said, after today, we're kind of back on our schedule, so we spend a lot of time watching tape still on recruiting. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's this year's guys, next year's guys, or, you know, guys that are being, you know, born today, it seems like. I mean, we're watching recruiting tape, I mean, on all kinds of young guys. So, you know, normal week after today.
How would you characterize the atmosphere around your kicking situation behind the scenes now compared to where it was a couple weeks ago?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think we're, I kind of like where it is, you know. I don't think we've settled in. I don't think it's that thing where we're arrived and where we need to be, but we don't want any of our positions to be like that, so we're still working really hard on it. I thought Tristan kicked again really well today. I think he's, you know, he's getting his confidence and all those type of things, and yeah, I think we just keep working.
How much do false starts at home drive you nuts?
False starts period drive me nuts, but yeah, at home it's they can be painful, but there's always usually a little bit of a reason. You know, it's not as simple as it seems, because what we do with our snap count, we're checking a lot of plays. Sometimes the rhythm gets off in terms of how it checks, and he has got to hold it, and so, you know, anytime we get false starts, we're trying to eliminate those self-inflicted wounds, but it looks so simple, but really a lot of times it's not quite as simple. And we need to change the snap count because teams start to get into a rhythm. Well, when you change it, you're changing it on your own guys, and so there's some more complexity there than sometimes you'd know.
And any other evaluation on the left side of the offensive line and what you were able to see from that?
Yeah, I thought those two guys did a nice job, you know. I don't think anybody in the, you know, our entire line played completely clean, but I thought those guys both had good games, and we were pleased with, you know, how they stepped up. It was good to get, you know, Luke in there for a full game, and he knew he was going to start and all those things, and I thought he did a really nice job. And of course, the fireman just kind of does his thing wherever we put him. He's going to go play good. Okay, thank you guys. Okay.